Hi guys, welcome back. I think I've been away for a good amount of time. Um, yeah, I've been away from a good amount of time. Went on vacation, spent some time reflecting, you know, thinking a lot about where I am in life. It's been about 7 months now that I've in this new city. So I don't know, I had to think a lot about what I've been doing, what that would lead to, and if I need to course correct, right? Obviously, a lot of my friends have recently been like, oh, you know, what are your goals for 2026? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? What would you do differently? And my response to that is that 2026 starts now. You lay the groundwork and the foundation for a successful year now, right? People say, "Oh, winter arc, gotta lock in, gotta get that summer bod," right? For you to get a summer body, realistically, you're having to work out and be healthy like the previous fall. Okay, there's no such thing as a winter arc, according to David Goggins. It's 365 every day. My point is that 2026 has already started. Now, if you're gonna push it off until January 1st, well, you're starting behind the finish line or the start line. You're starting behind the start line. I say this to say, I think, and maybe I do this too much, but I think it's good to be introspective, right? I think it's good to be introspective at all times. Like learning from experiences, learning from the people in your life. It's continuous learning every day. And if you don't reflect on it, you don't really learn it at all. So I know I spoke about this in a previous episode, but how you, let's say, get over someone, is you become them. But for you to become them, you have to reflect. For you to learn your lessons and not repeat mistakes again, you have to reflect. And that can be in the form of just sitting down and literally doing a SWOT analysis, or reflecting on how a person makes you feel, or reflecting on what you could have done better in the situation. Sorry, there's food in the back. um, Whatever you do, you have to reflect. I'd say that's the first guiding principle to having a successful year, is to be continuously reflecting. Journaling, okay, is a good one. Um, I journal frequently. You can find like a bajillion journaling prompts online that will help you. Use AI. Sorry, I'm tired of hearing that word. Um, like, I think it's very important, you know, to have the introspective nature, to learn from your mistakes, to see what you're doing wrong, right? From then, from there, sorry, from there, it's easy, right? You either course correct or you change. So when you're thinking about your goals for 2026, whether it's, lose 20 pounds or get a better job, or, I don't know, make more money, um, like you work backwards too, right? So you start from the end goal. You wanna break it down realistically. I want to say is see where you want to be from a year from now, 2 years from now, or if you have like a longer end goal, and then work backwards. Like if you want to make $5 million by the time you're 25, and you're 20 right now, right? What's your milestone at 24? What's your milestone at 23 and 22, 21 from where you are now, and then work backwards that way. I think a lot of times it's easy to get caught up in thinking of this grandiose idea or grandiose goal that we have for our lives, and it can be so overwhelming if you're like looking at it from the point of view of like the way I always imagine in my head is when you're looking at a painting, okay? You see this massive painting, okay? And you just take it all in. You can't really digest the parts of it, but you love the painting. But you have to really think about how that painting is created, right? What kind of different strokes, what kind of different colors, the gradients, the texture, right? So when you're in the day to day, you're really looking at the details. I think it's good to have a balance of both perspectives, right? The day to days, but also, keep in mind the grand picture. But like having that introspection allows you to create iterations of the picture, the painting. It allows you to course correct, to make sure you zoom out and be like, oh, like maybe I drew it and it should have been a little bit to the left. But you never would have known, okay, if you didn't reflect. I again, I that just came out of my butt. Like, but painting is a good analogy for it, right? I encourage you to really do this, no matter if it's a new year or you're not happy where you are right now in your life, your relationships. I think locking yourself in a room and really thinking about your goals and what you want out of life and how you can work towards it, break it down, really break it down into digestible steps. And I hate to say this, but you can really use AI if you can't really think about it, but try to make it up yourself. Be honest. That's the big thing. You have to be honest with yourself because you set big goals, right? Yes, like it's great if you can hit them. If if you could hit your goals, they're not big enough. I'll tell you that right now. If you can hit your goals, they're not big enough. If you hit your goals and it's a big goal, you better have another big ass goal. Okay? A bigger goal. If you can climb that mountain, there better be an even taller mountain after you've reached the peak. Set actionable goals, right? And take steps. Take actionable steps towards that goal. Sorry. I think in time, if you're looking at even your whole life holistically, right? They say, get 1% better every day, and the 1% obviously compounds. It's just like how a house is built brick by brick, right? You run a mile taking one step at a time. I think a lot of times we try to see 10 steps forward, but maybe keeping in mind which direction you want to go and focusing on the second or the third step next is already way more helpful than people who are just walking aimlessly. And I say this as an analogy, right? But I think for you to hit a goal, you have to have a target. If I want to aim for something, I better know what I'm aiming at, or else I'm just wasting my efforts, or else I'm just shooting aimlessly, right? Like, I encourage you, just take the time, Get out a notebook paper and a pen, literally write down what you like about yourself and what you don't. Simple as that. Just start there. What kind of person do you want to be, right? What kind of person would you look up to? Think about the kind of people you look up to in your life. Or if you don't have anyone you look up to, think about people you don't want to be. That's an equally good place to start. In the case of you look up to someone, like, what about them do you like? How can you embody those characteristics yourself? And people that you don't like, how can you stay away from that? How can you avoid peer pressure? How can you keep yourself accountable, right? This is just the start, right? If you reflect, that is the start. Then you have to have the system. The system makes it sustainable. And the thing is, like, I can tell you guys to do this, right? You'll write the list, you'll have someone keep you accountable. But true change is identity change, right? True change, they say, oh, you have to be delusional, you have to think as though you've already had it. There's truth to the mentality. There's truth. However, the big lesson in itself is true change is identity change. Like, the goal is not to become, the goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. Because once you create that identity change, once that switch inside of you flips, it doesn't matter how far you run. You probably run farther than a marathon. It doesn't matter how much you weigh, as long as you're going to the gym and you're eating right. Obviously, be in a calorie deficit if you want to cut, and bulk up if you want to gain more muscle. But like, it's kind of like, for example, I'll talk about myself, for example, because I don't know who's watching this. Like, I hate running. I hate running. I don't know why I do it. Maybe I do it because I hate it, right? And it builds some type of mental calloused in my mind. Calloused? Is that a word? Sorry, I'm in my head. um, it builds mental toughness, right? But for me, I'm not counting, oh, I ran a mile in 10 minutes. I'm not counting. I don't know if this is the right thing to do. Obviously, if you're training for like speed or whatever, then you have to look at the time. But for me, my goal is just to become more healthy, right? Whether it's being active, whether it's running. So I'm not constantly looking at how much I'm running. And that in itself makes me run even further. Right? The goal isn't to run 5K, it's to become a runner, right? The goal is to not get a girlfriend, it's to become a lover, right? That's a different topic, but like, there's lots of different types of love you can give, right? Um, the goal is not to make the next AI B2B SaaS startup. The goal is to become a software engineer, right? Like, it's a shift in perspective. I think is the biggest thing, is what I'm trying to talk about. And once you attach your identity to those things, if my goal is to run a 5K, but it really is to become a runner, like, I start thinking about, okay, if I was a runner, what would I do? I would run. Stupid example, but I would run even when I don't feel like it. Okay. If my goal is to make the next Palantir AI B2B SaaS, right? Then I'm gonna learn how to code. I'm gonna learn how to sell. I'm gonna pitch to YC. I'm gonna start pitching to different VC firms, right? Like it's an identity change. I think is the biggest thing is what I'm trying to say. And like you really have to want to change. You can write down goals every single year. I guarantee you, you've written down a goal for the next year and you haven't achieved it. I've done that. Okay. But I think it starts with identity change. And it boils down to how bad you want it. Everything. Everything boils down to how bad you want it. Because if you want it that bad, okay, you will get it. Look at the homeless people on the street. Those crackheads. You think being homeless stops them from getting crack? It doesn't. It doesn't. So you're not going to let a crackhead out hustle you in life in getting the goals and dreams that you want. Yes, it's addiction, but that's what it takes. Obsession and drive beats talent every time. So introspect, identity change, and really think about why you want to change. Because your why will be the most powerful force, even when you don't feel like it. Even when you don't want to go for the 5 mile run. Even when you don't want to get up in the morning to go to work. Remembering why you want something so bad, that'll help. I spoke about it on a recent LinkedIn post, but you see Nike's ads. Just do it, iconic logo. They changed a marketing campaign to why do it. For Gen Z, if you guys are listening, we tend to question a lot of stuff. And I think it's a great generation to question things the way they are. Question yourself. Question why you are in the place you are and why are you not living the dream life that you want. And be honest. You have to really be honest. Are you lazy? You just don't want it that bad. And that's okay. You just have to accept that reality and you have to be okay with it. Right? Either you increase your sacrifices or you decrease your desires. If you're not happy where you are, some part of you is more content than dissatisfied. You have to be standing on the edge of a cliff, willing to dive in, willing to change, truly change. That your current reality is worse than what going into the depths of the unknown could unlock for you. But it starts with knowing yourself, introspecting how bad you want that goal, and what kind of person who's achieved that goal is. Identity change. thanks for watching. I think this is episode 12 now, but I've been trying to be more consistent. I'll tell you that. That's one of my goals for 2026. And it is currently November 25th. So by the time I'm recording this. So I'm already basically a month ahead of you in 2026. What are y'all going to do about it? Lay there. Sit in that car listening to this video. While you're relaxing, remember, I'm working. I'm a day ahead. No, but seriously, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.